Hello, and welcome back to Inside the Jacket. Today, we are going to discuss the National Chapter Award and different grant opportunities to sponsor chapter events. To begin, we need to answer the question, what is the National Chapter Award? The National Chapter Award Program was developed to recognize the chapters that actively demonstrate the mission and strategies of the National FFA organization, meaning that they use different quality standards and a program of activities to exemplify that their members get the most out of the time in the blue jacket. Now, there are 3 different parts of the application that you must initially fill out. We're going to go over those next. To begin completing the National Chapter Award, there are different areas that you may have to initially fill out, which can include Form 1 activities, Form 1 indicators, and Form 1 summaries. On Form 1 activities, you will actually select different activities off of your AAT calendar to use in the 3 standard areas that we will talk about later in this video. There are these main subcategories and then multiple subcategories that your events will have to fall into. Next, we have Form 1 indicators, where you'll select different grades upon different events that your chapter actually has participated in. This grade will be based on a 1 to 5 scale, with 5 being the best and 1 being the absolute worst that you could do. This can be completed by an FFA member, an officer, or an ag educator. And then finally, we have Form 1 summaries, where you can actually look over all of the information that you put into the application at first and see the NCQS indicators that you had filled out previously. This is a super duper way to look at everything that you have and just make sure that you're very well prepared for the later process you'll have to go through, filling out Growing Leaders 1, 2, 3, Building Communities 1, 2, 3, and Strengthening Ag 1, 2, 3, as well as the check sheet and electronic signatures. Of the quality standards that the National Chapter Award focuses on, we have 3 main categories. First, we have Growing Leaders, which of course focuses on growing FFA members to prepare for their future. This can be through leadership, healthy lifestyles, scholarships, personal growth, and career success. Second, we have Building Communities, which focuses on sources for your chapter through the community by creating and maintaining a public relationship, meaning that you could help your environment, human resources, citizenship, stakeholder engagements, and even economic development. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Strengthening of Agriculture, which focuses on advocacy within your community to battle misconceptions in agriculture. This can be having a support group, chapter recruitment, safety, agricultural advocacy, and of course, agricultural literacy. To begin, we have 5 tips and tricks for completing the application for your chapter. First, we have create a committee. If you create a committee comprised of seasonal members and newer members, you will have people on the committee who understand the application, as well as members that will learn for the following year, meaning that you will have a span of knowledge to make sure that your application is just that much better. Tip number 2, divide and conquer. If you divide the application into different parts and give members that part to complete, you're going to make sure that the application is taken care of in a timely manner, meaning that more people can look over it and fix grammatical issues, and maybe even complete the application in a different time period, sooner than your state convention. Tip number 3, use National FFA's resources. On the National FFA website, there are tons of different resources that you can use to create a National Chapter Award. Additionally, there are tons of YouTube resources that you can use from past national conventions to give you ideas for different projects that your chapter can complete. You can visit the link down below to make sure that you have all of the resources needed to complete your chapter's application. Tip number 4. Span out the time of finishing your chapter's application, meaning start early and end early. By doing this, you're creating enough time for there to be additional review, as well as additional changes made to your chapter's application. This also makes it a lot easier when completing the application to make sure that everything is in on time, especially if you want the chapter to go to the National Review Board. And last, but certainly not least, tip number 5. Ensure that all of your chapter's information is up to date in the AAT or Agricultural Experience Tracker. Make sure that your POA is complete for the entire year before you even start the application, as well as your officers and your school's contact info. All of this can be found on the checklist or summary page of your National Chapter application. Now, you might be thinking, wow, Cheyenne, I'm going to do all this work. Well, now that you've done all the work, it's time to reap the benefits. Meaning that your chapter will get tons of rewards from being entered into the National Chapter Award Program. This can include receiving an initial plaque, a yearly spur with your star ranking, and a star ranking from 1 to 3, repping your chapter's awesome ability to make sure that members are getting the most out of their time. So while planning for the National Chapter Award and planning on 3 different opportunities in all of those areas that we focused on in the very beginning with our standards in growing leaders, building communities, and strengthening agriculture, you may have to plan some new events. Now, of course, there are a lot of issues when planning a new event, such as dates, times, getting members to be involved, but also there's problems with funding. So if your chapter specifically is looking for ways to fund a new event, there are amazing opportunities offered by both the Pennsylvania FFA Foundation and the National FFA Organization that you can apply for and use towards different events that could be used in your National Chapter Award. We're going to talk about those next. So in the state of Pennsylvania, there are 2 opportunities for members to have their activities funded. First, we have the Learning by Doing grants. So Learning by Doing grant is a grant funded by the Pennsylvania FFA Foundation that is actually given to either agricultural students, educators, or programs to help enhance the in-classroom education. This can include buying things for your greenhouse or preparing stuff for a community service project. Secondly, we have Scholar Dollars. So Scholar Dollars are something that you can actually earn if you work in one of the food booths at either the farm show or Ag Progress days. You're paid by an hourly rate per FFA member, and it all goes back into your chapter, which is super duper cool and an easy way to earn funds for only a couple hours worth of work. These are awesome, and you can find them online at www.paffa.org. Lastly, we have opportunities offered by the National FFA Organization. So there are 2 opportunities actually offered by the National FFA Organization. One being grants for growing, where FFA chapters and advisors can apply for funding in one of the 3 areas of growing your classroom, growing your FFA chapter, or growing your ag awareness, which is super great for the 3 fundamental topics that we talked at the very beginning for our standards. And then we have the Living to Serve grants. So a Living to Serve grant is a mini grant of $400 to support actually planning chapter community service activities and events. This is an amazing opportunity to earn money towards an event that you could have one time throughout the year that aids both your members, your National Chapter Award, and some awesome PR opportunities for the FFA organization. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Inside the Jacket. I hope that you learned a lot of useful information for the National Chapter Award. I can't wait to see what your chapter has to do. See you next time!